Looking for real stories that lift you up? Welcome to Inspire and Impact, the podcast where purpose meets perseverance. This is where transformation begins and your story continues.
Welcome to the Inspire and Impact podcast. I'm your host, Daniel Rosenstein. Today I have the honor of interviewing Dave Letterfly, Knoderer. Dave, thank you so much for coming on the show today.
I'm glad to be here, Daniel.
Can you share a little about yourself with the audience, about who you are and what you do?
I'd be happy to. I'm an artist and I'm an author, and I have a background with performing with the circus, especially with performing horses. And I am passionate about all kinds of creative things.
Wow, that sounds very interesting. Not too many people I know have worked in the circus world. I'm sure it's probably like a very unique specialty you have.
Definitely. Yeah.
Is there anything you'd like to share with us about what goes on in the circus world that a lot of people don't know or maybe misunderstand?
I'd be happy to. What if I told you one secret that would completely transform and forever shake to the core your way of looking at the circus? The circus is an ever-changing, living, breathing, sovereign organism of many members who travel the country together with one unified goal, and that is to please the audience no matter what it takes. How do I know this? Because for 25 years, I entertained, performed, and traveled all across North America. You might be asking, who is this guy? And what is the big secret? Not only will I reveal the surprising truths about what really takes place behind the scenes, but I promise to answer every one of these questions.
Thank you so much for sharing that. That sounds really amazing. How are you performing under the big top shade, the way you view leadership and purpose?
Well, let me paint a picture. Imagine you're seated in a tented arena, waiting for the matinee performance to begin. The rigging overhead is like lace hanging from the many apparatus standing ready in the apex of the big top. The musicians tune up, giving us a sense of urgency that the show is about to begin. The stage is set. The performers are ready. And with just one whistle blast, the fanfare introduces the momentum that the magic is about to begin. And you may be pleasantly surprised to discover that the magic that I refer to is all about leadership. The team that makes up this enterprise has to remain efficient. If there is one thing I learned during my 25 years of performing with the circus, it is the value, vision, and continuity inspired by outstanding leadership. Leaders know the way, steer the team, and empower everyone to co-create successful momentum together. Through thick and thin, we overcame all sorts of challenging situations together to deliver our product, which is entertainment. The effort of the entire circus family produced smiles, warm glows, a genuine connection, and heightened heartbeats. The grace of the beautiful aerialist mesmerized the audience. The trained horses delighted even the most aloof. The daredevil spiked everyone's blood pressure when he risked his life to thrill the audience. Does working with a team as diverse as this sound like something you do every day? Here's my promise. I will share with every one of you a startling, time-tested, practical formula for ensuring success with everyone you create products for, do business with, and team members with whom you co-create solutions. But before I go on with all of that, I need to ask you something. Would this wisdom, born from 1,000 spotlights, be valuable to you in your work? No, really, do think about it. Would this strategy help you overcome an existing challenge that has you stuck? And finally, would this motherlode of immense value help your company to grow? If the answer is yes to all of these, it will be my honor to share with you everything I know in the time that we have together here today to teach you how to encourage your team to contribute their best with the goal of receiving a standing ovation.
Wow, that sounds really amazing, Dave. But to kind of explain in our podcast, a lot of people are entrepreneurs or business owners, or they're accountants, or they're wannabe start their own business. What has anything to do with the circus? What kind of circus teach business owners, entrepreneurs, accountants, people who work with AI? You kind of brushed upon working with teams, and I kind of chuckled when you said that because I've worked in a few companies where it felt like it was work. It was so chaotic. It was like a circus, but really, one of the people in the audience can learn from, how can we apply these learnings that we've learned over the many years of working in the circus world to their entrepreneurship, being a business owner, or if they're a manager at a company. What can they really learn? What can you share with us?
Let me take you on a journey into my life on the circus. As a classical horseman, my priority is to remain calm as I take my horse into the chaos of the ring. The irony is that the better we do, the more noise the audience makes. Of course, they roar, they applaud, and how the drummer knocks and bangs his drums and increase the ruckus even more. This turbulent environment is in direct contrast to the quiet of the barn where the initial training took place. The challenge in the arena is for the horse and rider to remain focused, connected, and to perform the movements every time they get into the ring. The symbiosis on display demonstrates countless hours of practice striving for perfection in this rarefied art and accomplishing the precision that moves the audience. Like life itself, vicissitude is always present. My horse trusted me to provide him with guidance, confidence, and direction. Over time, we built the foundation for a good work ethic based on trust. Not unlike training the horse, in the business world, the plan is created in the quiet of the conference room. But this very same strategy is tested and executed in the trenches of the real world. In the circus, the audience applauds when they are pleased. This is not unlike what you encounter every day. In your market, the customer demands near perfection from the output received, and when delighted, they become a loyal customer. Let me ask you something. Just how are you meeting and exceeding the demands of your market? As you think about this question, let's go back to the circus. Under the big top, the music the band produces accompanies the graceful, synchronized, and thrilling efforts taking place. In your company, creative partners are just as important and must not be forgotten as an integral part of the show. So let me ask you this. What processes do you have in place that unearths the best of everyone? How do you encourage innovation? And finally, how do you and your team harvest top qualities from a diverse pool of talent and combine these valuable resources into one big, cohesive whole? Leadership such as this takes focus and dedication, but above all else requires the ability to recognize and encourage what is often hidden in your team members. Finding these valuable qualities is key to becoming an inspiring leader. If you are still here with me and you have heard everything I have said so far, it appears that we have found the problem, and its name is hidden value. So let's go back to showbiz for the answer. Ladies and gentlemen of leadership, step right up, climb to new heights, risk danger like never before, and blast productivity into the stratosphere. Don't you wish you could just push a button to discover the hidden talents of all your apathetic, unenthusiastic, inert, shiftless, uninterested, and lazy staff members, and do something to improve morale? These hidden talents are buried deep beneath years of scar tissue from cubicle warfare, leadership retreats in windowless hotels, and the lingering PTSD of being asked to share one fun fact about yourself. Please realize that you have team members who hide their brilliance. Aunt Bertha hides her dominatrix costumes. Hold on to your swivel chairs. I have exciting news. At the Circus-inspired Letterfly Laboratory of Leadership Lore, my troupe of willy-nilly tumblers who moonlight as a team of white-collared wizards have been working round the clock between coffee breaks, paper airplane trajectory battles, and the occasional focus on existential crisis to repurpose a time-honored formula that works. That's right. This miraculous solution can cure apathy in the workplace, raise morale around the coffee pot, and boost quarterly KPI into the stratosphere faster than you can say mandatory meeting. Introducing the Ultra Zesty Deluxe Talent Detector. Just wave it around the office and poof, you'll uncover the shy accountant who can juggle flaming torches in an Excel spreadsheet, the IT guy who writes eloquent poetry about motivational posters, and the intern who overcame conceit and secretly embraced humility but forgot to mention it on her resume. Hurry, step right up. Supplies are limited, egos are fragile, and enthusiasm is contagious. Are you ready to see how it works? This time-tested formula, proven on the limelight stages all across America and parts of Minnesota, is based on the 3 pillars of vulnerability, trust, and faith. Let's get serious now. As I mentioned before, uncovering hidden talents within your team members is like prospecting for gold. When you develop the ability to recognize the shiny flakes in each one of your people, you have a responsibility to nurture those qualities into the valuable motherlode of potential that it represents. But not everyone likes to reveal sensitive and delicate aspects about themselves. This sort of intimacy is often riddled with danger in the workplace. But this intimacy often also reveals value. Why does reluctance for personal transparency paralyze us? Let's start with the first pillar. Vulnerability is the foundation of everything. You may be asking, why would something transparent be so valuable? What interferes with vulnerability? Tell me if this sounds familiar. In the boardroom, everyone is deathly afraid of looking like an idiot. They are reluctant to ask the first or any question. Nobody wants to look like a fool. The opposite of being transparent is remaining shielded from any form of embarrassment, and no one benefits. But opening the dialogue with an engaging question is the best way to kickstart the experience and promote a productive session. In a healthy meeting, all questions are welcomed, listened to, validated, and shared so everyone builds upon what is being discussed. This dynamic promotes breakthroughs and levels of achievement with all the members of your team. These courageous souls must be rewarded. Whoever admits they don't get it are the brave ones. They put the team first and remain sincere about promoting momentum by being transparent about themselves. I learned this under the big top. When a mistake occurs at the circus, everyone notices. When the horse makes a misstep and does not accomplish the obvious, his trainer does not get embarrassed. He simply asks again while acknowledging the audience. When the desired result occurs, he praises his horse lavishly to the delight of everyone looking on. Why can't we, in the boardroom, utilize this same strategy that actually qualifies as loving behavior? Listen up. You can learn something from the circus because the same approach is successful in the workplace. When we no longer value compliance or avoid looking foolish, we can begin to lead with behaviors that support others, builds cohesion, and ensures excellence during the next high-stakes exchange. Transparency is key in both the circus ring and in the corporate world. When forward momentum is valued by all the members of the team, many amazing things begin to happen. I know this sounds risky, but if you want amazing results, if you like the idea of a cohesive connection with others, and you want something you have never received before, you must do things, behave, and take actions you never have taken before. That's how you grow. It becomes your strategic advantage. It's how you build an extraordinary team. And at the height of your performance, those around you sit up and notice. You pause and enjoy a standing ovation. Now let's move into the second, trust. How many fires do you put out in the course of a week? Is there any escape from the drama of humanity that unfolds all around us? What is the cause of the erosion that made mistrust so prevalent? When a horse is selected to become a circus star, the training always starts in the quiet of the barn. That's where trust begins. The goal is for the horse and rider to move as one, and it works both ways. Your partner follows you, and you lead your partner. The exchange of trust evolves into connection. Repetition, while muscles are developed, teaches the horse what is expected, but trust is what it takes to open up the portal for the next step to occur. When the transition from the safety of the training barn to the challenge of the performance arena finally takes place, the trust developed has no equal and parlays into the payoff. Let's face it, the circus ring is a scary place for a young horse. When a horse is introduced to performing in the ring, he must first be conditioned to tolerate the rigors and accept the chaos of the unpredictable spikes in audible and visual bombardment that continuously take place. There is no upside, to shielding the horse from calamity. Instead, the horse trainer's first responsibility is to remain calm and available to lead, and above all else, remain a loving foundation for trust to continue to thrive. Indulge me as I compare the circus ring with the intricacy of your global team, classroom, business culture, or operational hub. Is a healthy environment built on trust something that you would like to implement with your team? If the answer is yes, the truth is going to hit the fan. The first portion is certainly consistency, but without trust, repetition can easily erode into boring routine, leading to complacency and an indifferent attitude. When the vision remains clear, coupled with consistent, helpful guidance, that's how you build trust with your team and remain upwardly progressive and competitive while gaining admiration from everyone in the audience. Trust in business has a profound effect, not unlike what takes place in the performance venue. The brass band combines with the dramatic lighting to enhance the output taking place in the ring. The performers respond with confidence as the result of consistent leadership that creates a healthy environment of trust that leads to excellence. Trust is a must, and trust goes both ways. The stakes between you and your team are incredibly high, just like at the circus up on the high wire. Although balance between everyone involved is the first thing you see, an unshakable foundation of trust remains paramount to the success of the entire organization. And now, let's talk about the third and final pillar. A generally understood definition of faith is confidence in something unseen. This is what you don't know about me. When you listen to me speaking in front of you today, please realize it hasn't always been this way. I was a reluctant child, socially inept and terrified to talk. I came from a frustrating family situation in which there was no explanation for the bizarre behavior coming from my older brother. Today, he has been diagnosed as Asperger's. Back then, I only knew to remain in the shadows. Forget about teamwork. I was only interested in being safe, and that meant I had to remain self-sufficient and away from the judgmental eyes of the community in which I grew up. Fortunately, I found one little pocket of relief. Despite being reluctant socially and not daring to interact in our home and feeling like I was on a dead end, I found a place where I could be me, contribute with my talents, and be appreciated. That was my leap of faith. I found a place to take action and thrive. More on that later. My question to you is, do you need safety before you'll take action? What belief can you tap into so you can start? What will your leap of faith look like? So far in this talk, we have covered vulnerability and trust. The final essential ingredient is to have faith. But as stated in the good book, faith without works is dead. So you must take action. The actions you take will build confidence that will also result in an improved connection with everything and everyone, including your team. You have to have faith in your talents, intuition, and your purpose as a leader, and then you must take appropriate actions. From the time I was 7, when the circus came to town every year, I was up early and I did everything I could to fit in for the day, helping spread the canvas, set up the tents, doing odd jobs, selling popcorn, and helping tear down at the end of the day. What I found was a solution for being inept, reluctant, and scared. The circus became a place of recognition, acceptance, and welcome. My willingness segued into my discovery of the value of teamwork, personal integrity, and the kind of leadership that celebrates differing skills to heighten the magic of the circus. This is not unlike the living, breathing organization that you lead every day. The diversity of the circus personnel is as profound as can be found in any team today. The trainer of the lions and tigers, who connects on an ethereal plane, contrast with the goofy antics of the clowns. The daring young man on the flying trapeze, dancing aloof with danger, contrasts with the grace and charm of the beautiful aerialists. Don't forget the dark mysticisms of the magicians, the horse trainers who connect with their majestic animals, and those band masters who command the musical spectrum, all held together by the larger-than-life presence of the ringmaster himself. I was learning that integration into this vast cross-section of humanity was going to be a challenge, and joining the circus ended up being the best thing I ever did. The show must go on, are words to live by. I invite you to lead with vulnerability. Allow others to see the real you. Embrace trust and project the desired outcome to and from your colleagues. Commit to having unshakable faith in yourself and in your team members. I know you could have been anywhere else in the world today, but you invested in your future success by being here with Daniel and myself. I hereby celebrate and congratulate you on taking this important step forward. And I have one more thing to say. Remember that the performance that prompts the eruption of applause does not have to be perfect. As I near the end of my talk, let's go back to the circus one more time. The spotlight is on the juggling star. He has already masterfully demonstrated keeping 3, 5, and even 7 hoops up simultaneously in the air. He now pauses before he attempts the impossible. The revved up audience sits at the edge of their seats. You could cut the tension in the air with a knife. He grabs 2 more hoops. He warms up his hands. After overcoming the final apprehension that keeps us all wondering, he makes his attempt, but he fails. Ashamed, he sulks away. But in the shadows, something comes over him. He straightens up. He acknowledges his limitation to the crowd as he picks up the hoops that lay scattered on the ground. Then, after mustering up strength from an unseen source, he steps back into the center of the ring and resumes his dedication to the crowd. One more time, he gets ready and then puts everything he has into getting all the air with the determination of a bull and the animation of a Gatling gun. This time he does it. With all 9 hoops impossibly cascading over him, in addition to doing it, he radiates a pride and then adds something unexpected. He concludes the awe-inspiring spectacle of luminescent artistry by rapidly catching each loop one at a time and placing them over his head. With the stack around his neck and grinning from ear to ear, he steps forward with his arms wide open. The crowd erupts with deafening applause. He takes his bow as the audience continues their adulation and rises to their feet. This is what transparency, trust, and faith look like in action. Because the show must go on.
Wow, Dave, that was more than a mouthful there. Thank you so much for sharing that. I wanted to ask you, to mention when you talked about leadership. So what does like real leadership require action, even when the outcome is uncertain? Because sometimes in business, you don't know where you're going. So why do
As
you really need to take action when you don't know what's going to happen next? That can be more
what you
scary
want,
thing.
yeah, what you want to do is promote innovation. And in order for you to promote new ideas coming from the imaginations of all of your team members, we have to create an environment where trust and safety can take place, so that the new ideas that are taking place in your mind and in the minds of your team members have a place to come and grow. Having an imagination, my career as an artist has required ongoing taking care of my imagination, because my imagination is what sets me apart from other people who can manipulate paint with a brush. And imagination requires a careful nurturing of a safe environment for the imagination to, just like with innovation with your team members. Yeah, definitely. The starting place would be to create a safe place for innovation to occur.
So you mentioned like you traveled all around North America, which I think is so like amazing. I was traveling all the time. Do you find that to be stressful? 'Cause I think a lot of business people travel a lot too.
There's a lot of traveling taking place. What I learned initially when I was in my teenagers and my 20s was how to travel and the advantage of travel. And I just happen to love traveling, having a constantly changing, the stimulation. It all is constantly changing, which is great for, staying on your toes. And I've actually, because of my ability to travel, I've had the ability to take advantage of opportunities that other people who may very well be in the same trade that I am in were unable to capitalize on because they did not have the ability to travel. And the example was in the late 80s when the when the RV industry started producing 40-foot luxury motorhomes that were priced within the means of most people. It started a trend of people selling their homes and moving into motorhomes, and that demographic traveled constantly, and I was able to capitalize on that demographic because I had the ability to travel and keep myself in the middle of where they would clump up. And at that time, that was before the computer had arrived on the scene to take the labor out of elaborate paint jobs. Those initial motorhomes were pretty plain, and they were looking for ways to make them more attractive. And I was there as an artist on the scene, ready to paint personalized murals on each one of them. And I became hugely successful because of my ability, my willingness, and my ability to travel to stay in their midst. And then I was able to continue with that. Today, I have a route of Harley Davidson dealerships that I spend, 7 months of the year on the road, different Harley store every week, where I serve the staff dealership with some offerings for their inventory, but especially for their customers as a value added attraction. And I live up north summer and down south in the winter. It was a pattern that I adopted years ago, and I just have a, I guess I was imprinted, I positively imprinted with the value of travel. And I don't have that normal, like most people that when they travel, they go somewhere and then they come home. They go somewhere and then they come home. Go somewhere and then come. When I'm on my route, I go somewhere and then I go to the next one, then I go to the next one, go to the next one. And I love being on the road. Yeah. It's a very interesting way to live your life. And I'm all about that.
Definitely. I want to ask you, like, you spend a lot of time talking about how you apply the creative skills to helping businesses. Can you explain what type of services, how do you help businesses today? Are you like a business coach? Do you help people with the business, how to become like leaders, a better leader? Or do you help people, like you said, find that hidden talent? What exactly services do you offer to business owners or entrepreneurs or, all different corporations?
Yeah, I don't specialize in any particular niche of big corporation type things, but I am poised to help like Ma and Pa USA. I've got the formula for the guy who's sitting on his couch about taking a step into the unknown. And I've written a book just exactly for those type of people. It's a source of encouragement and a formula for initiating living the life of your dreams. And because I've become not only, I've enjoyed a creative career, especially and now in my golden years, I'm all about passing the baton on to the next, helping others, being of service. And not only are the books that I write, but the talk of decided to help the readers and the listeners, but I want to be a source of inspiration so that they can move into the next echelon of loving the life that they're living. Yeah, definitely. And business owners and corporate leaders are certainly, I don't exclude anybody. So yeah, definitely.
Do you teach people how to be more creative? If somebody says, hey, I don't have any creative skills, I can't do anything, are you able to coach somebody to find their hidden talents, the hidden creative talents, to say, oh, this is an area that you could be creative in?
Definitely. I actually teach a class once a year at my home here in Florida, and I specialize in, it's called custom paint workshops, because I'm an old Renaissance person who I learned how to paint by hand back in the good old days. I started as a sign painter, and then when the computer came along, I moved into painting murals on homes. And then when that dried up, I moved over into hand painted pinstriping on motorcycles. And so all aspects of the hand painted trade, I guess you'd say, are in my wheelhouse. And once a year, I teach a class, a 5-day long class at my home. It's called Custom Paint Workshops, and it's the first week in February. And the first day I teach lettering, and then the second day pinstriping, then airbrushing, then pictorial painting, and then the final day we do gold leaf. And so, yeah, I teach, those are skills. Now, I mentor people because I'm also involved in the recovery community. So I mentor other men in regards to, as I mentioned in our interview today, I come from a background, a frustrating childhood from which I have not only recovered, but I've been transformed into a people person instead of a scared little boy. Today, I pass that information along to others who may be simply stuck or suffering, and as a source of encouragement to be helpful, to help make this world a better place. And the books that I write are also sources of encouragement where I become transparent about what I went through, and then I go ahead and reveal a payoff to hopefully inspire the reader. Now, I do have one book that I've made the download available absolutely free. My book called Hit the Road and Thrive, 7 Secrets for Living the Dream, is available on the website daveletterfly.com. That's my name, Dave Letterfly, Letterfly.com. And you can go to that website and get the free download of the book, Hit the Road and Thrive, 7 Secrets for Living the Dream. Your listener.
Wow, thank you so much for sharing that. I definitely checked that out. Well, like you mentioned about having a standing ovation moment, what does that look like in the business world? If an entrepreneur or business owner is having a standing ovation moment, what does that look like in their world?
I would say that the standing ovation moment for some member of a big corporation, it would certainly depend on what they were exactly involved in. But if a manufacturer made a big hit and the population of the world recognized value and they all need to buy one, that would be a standing ovation type moment where you made a big hit. It's just like with the little things that go viral on social media. That's like the equivalent of a standing ovation. People are curious and they like, all of a sudden, a couple of million people have looked at it. So yeah, in the business world, we celebrate wholesome achievements by doing things that establish our reputation. Different corporation, Starbucks and different people that make decisions to do something right. And then the response is customer loyalty. So yeah, that's like a standing ovation.
Excellent. Is there any like final encouragement you like to give either leaders or dreamers, anybody who feels stuck or indecisive in their life? What's one action step they can take right now to, either start taking action or feeling more decisive, what they know what to do moving forward?
I'd be happy to. As I mentioned earlier on in the interview, the thing that interferes with our ability to step forward is typically fear. So when we acknowledge the fear and we move forward anyway, that's called having courage. It doesn't displace the fear. It means that in spite of the fear, we move forward. And there are times when we need help. And what I want to encourage everybody here, see, part of the aspect of being a team member is not only contributing to the efforts of the whole team, but also giving your teammates who may have talents that exceed the stuff that's in your wheelhouse, give them the opportunity to step up and be the hero. Oh, we had a hiccup.
Yeah.
Did you get the right?
Yeah, I don't see you.
Right here?
Oh, okay. Yeah, just continue.
Yeah, what I would say is that what we want to do is give our team members the opportunity to be the hero when we have something innovative that we need help with. What we do is we ask for them to help us with their contribution. And that is an excellent way to not only move forward, but elevate all the efforts of everybody who's part of the team.
Great. Dave, it's been really wonderful to have you on the show. Do you have any last words you'd like to share with our audience before we drop off for the podcast for the day?
I'd be happy to. I'd like to conclude by saying you've been a wonderful audience. And if audience is worth $1 million,
Oh, that was really wonderful. Dave, thank you so much for sharing about your experiences and your knowledge about being creative. I thought, you know, you were very entertaining when you talked. It was a delight. So I want to thank you very much for coming on the show and sharing with the audience about your knowledge and wisdom that, you know, can definitely impart. And I've definitely learned a lot listening from you. I'm sure a lot of other people will too who listen to this conversation. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Daniel. That was fun.